She was just my college friend. Until love changed everything. Opening hook. They say college love never lasts. They say it's a fleeting flame, something you remember with a smile years later but not something you carry for life. But what if that flame isn't fleeting? What if it's the beginning of a fire that burns through every season of your soul? This is the story of how a friendship became love. Of how a quiet boy and a lively girl found each other, and how everything changed when silence finally spoke. Ayaan had always been the quiet one. In a crowded college classroom, his presence was easy to miss. He wasn't the boy who cracked jokes, or the one who was loud in the canteen. He was the one who sat with his notebook stacked neatly, scribbling down lecture notes word for word. It was during one of those literature classes that Meher walked in late. The door swung open, and with it came a breeze of perfume, laughter, and an energy that shifted the room. She was everything Ayaan wasn't: confident, outspoken, the kind of girl who didn't just enter a room but owned it. "Excuse me," she whispered as she slipped into the empty seat beside him. He stiffened and used to attention from girls. Minutes later, she leaned closer. "Hey, you take good notes, right? Can I borrow them later? I kinda missed the start." Her smile was quick, casual, but Ayaan found himself nodding without even thinking. She didn't wait for a response, she was already doodling in her own notebook, humming softly under her breath. He told himself it was nothing. Just a girl asking for notes. But when the lecture ended, and she turned to him with a cheerful, "Thanks, friend," he felt a warmth in his chest he couldn't quite explain. From that day, Meher made it a habit to sit next to him. She called him "serious boy" because of the way he never laughed during class. She borrowed his notes, teased him for his handwriting, and laughed at her own jokes even when he didn't. At first, Ayaan found her chatter distracting. But slowly, he began to wait for it. Her presence broke the monotony of his quiet days. One afternoon, when the rain poured outside, they both found themselves stuck in the library. She sighed dramatically. "Ugh, my umbrella broke. Guess I'm trapped here." Ayaan hesitated, then shyly offered his. "We can share." For a second, she just looked at him, surprised. Then she grinned. "Well, serious boy, I didn't know you were this sweet." They walked together, huddled under the small umbrella. Her shoulder brushed his every few steps, and though neither of them said much, Ayaan's heart was racing. Days turned into weeks. Their friendship grew effortlessly. They studied together in the library, shared snacks in the cafeteria, and walked the long campus paths after lectures. Meher told him about her dream of becoming a writer, of wanting to tell stories that touched hearts. He listened, quietly fascinated by the fire in her eyes when she spoke of her passions. One evening, sitting under a tree, she turned to him suddenly. "Why are you always so quiet? Don't you ever feel like shouting, laughing, doing something wild?" He looked away, embarrassed. I've always been like this. People don't really listen anyway." Her smile softened. "I'm listening." And for the first time, he believed someone truly was. Chapter 4: The Spark. The college cultural festival arrived, bringing with it lights, music, and excitement. Meher signed up for a dance performance, and to Ayaan's shock, she also signed him up for the poetry recitation. When he protested, she teased, "Come on, serious boy. You've got the face of a poet. Don't waste it." On the night of the festival, as he stood nervously backstage, Meher squeezed his hand. "You'll be amazing." Her dance was dazzling, full of energy and grace. His poetry was quiet but powerful, and when the crowd applauded, his eyes instinctively searched for hers. She was already looking at him, clapping the loudest, her smile brighter than the lights around them. Later that night, fireworks lit up the sky. They stood side by side, the crowd buzzing around them. Slowly, Meher rested her head on his shoulder. He froze, his breath caught in his throat. The world seemed to blur. The noise faded. All that existed was the warmth of her against him. In that moment, Ayaan realized, this wasn't just friendship. This was something more. Something deeper. Something terrifyingly beautiful. Chapter 5, The Fear of Losing. But fear has a way of silencing hearts. Ayaan didn't confess. He was afraid. Afraid of ruining what they had. Afraid she might not feel the same. Afraid of losing the only friend who had ever truly seen him. Then came the rumors. Whispers spread that Meher was dating a senior from another department. Ayaan tried to ignore them, but every time he saw her laughing with someone else, jealousy stabbed his chest. He began avoiding her. No more late walks, no more study sessions. He buried himself in books, but even then, her laughter echoed in his mind. Meher noticed. Of course she did. One evening, she cornered him in the library. What's wrong with you, Ayaan? Why are you avoiding me? He shook his head, unable to meet her eyes. I'm not. Don't lie. Her voice broke. Did I do something wrong? Silence stretched between them. His heart screamed to speak, but his lips refused. Finally, he whispered, almost too softly, because being just your friend hurts. Chapter 6, The Confession. For a moment, Meher said nothing. Ayaan braced himself for rejection, for laughter, for the shattering of everything he cherished. Instead, she stepped closer, her eyes glistening. You idiot, she murmured. Do you really think I'd let rumors decide my heart? He blinked, stunned. Her hand reached for his, fingers intertwining with his. The warmth of her touch spread through him like fire. I was waiting for you to say it, she whispered. Because I felt it too. Ayaan's breath hitched. You, what? Before he could finish, she leaned in, her lips brushing his in a kiss that was soft, hesitant, but filled with everything they had left unsaid. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a promise. A confession. A beginning. Chapter 7, Forever Begins. After that night, everything changed, but also, nothing did. They still studied together, still laughed at silly jokes, still walked across campus like before. Only now, her hand found his naturally, and his silence was filled with her smile. People whispered, but they didn't care. Their love wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was in the small things, the way she teased him into laughing, the way he listened when she poured out her heart, the way one glance could say what words never could. On the last day of college, they stood together under the same tree where they had once talked about dreams. Meher leaned against him and whispered, you know, they were wrong. About what? He asked. About college love never lasting. He smiled, pulling her closer. For once, he wasn't afraid to speak. Yeah. Because this is forever. Closing narration. She was once just my college friend. The girl who borrowed my notes, who teased me, who turned my silence into laughter. But somewhere between stolen glances and unspoken feelings, friendship became love. And sometimes, love doesn't need grand gestures. Sometimes, all it needs is a quiet heart finally brave enough to whisper, forever.